Welcome to the Lifestyle Chase. This podcast features high performers who have found a way to live their best life while balancing their health, wellness, friends, and family. Proudly hosted by me, Chris Little. Without further ado, let's get started. So here we are for episode 29 of the Lifestyle Chase. I have with me today Danielle MacDonald. Did I get it?
Yeah.
Do you prefer Danny or Danielle?
I guess I prefer Danny. It doesn't matter.
Yeah.
People
cool.
just one day started calling me Danny since I moved to Edmonton, and that's who I've been ever since. So
sweet. So before I pressed record, we were chatting about like how your day went today. Take us through like the busiest day that you've had in the last week or so.
Oh God, like just every day is pretty busy. So yesterday, for instance, like I woke up. Got ready and I went to a course for work. So we went to like a stroke training course. That was about 4 hours. Ran around, ran some errands, picked up like protein supplements, went to the gym, ran some more errands, went home. I was home by 9:30. I had gone to to get groceries right before then, and I meal prepped until 11 and then went to bed. So, yeah, because I work tomorrow, so yeah.
So is it like with your work, is it sort of shifts or like rotations, or how does that work out?
Yeah, so I'm shift work, so I'm right now, like I'm going to be changing my schedule as of March 4th, but right now I'm 4 on, 4 off.
Yeah.
2 days, 2 nights, and they're all 12-hour shifts. But you have the option to take extra on your days off, which typically I do, provided I'm not doing something else, but I like to stay busy, and I'm going to school in September, so I need the money. So
sweet.
Yeah.
So let's get into your origin story, because I basically know you from what I know of Instagram.
Yeah.
And I can see you're like a paramedic, and I've always seen you exemplify a lot of things that make up a strong female. So that's it stands out because a lot of girls are scared to be like, hey, I'm strong as hell.
Yeah, I guess.
And it gives people that courage that they can be strong as hell. Because like a lot of girls are squatting more than most dudes. And especially if you do it like for scale to scale kind of thing, like a dude your size, for sure you would be stronger than. I can almost guarantee it.
Maybe, I guess, yeah.
But like
maybe.
That's cool. That's empowering. That's
Thank you.
like what we need to promote to people. So tell the listeners a little bit about yourself. Like what do you do for work? What makes you who you are?
Okay. Well, I'm a paramedic.
Yeah.
I'm born and raised in Prince Edward Island, Charlottetown, Prince Edward Island. I moved by myself in 2012. Didn't have a job. Moved right to Red Deer. I had one friend that lived in Red Deer, so yeah, and I right at the time when I moved, I was doing like investment work. But I moved up. I had a little bit saved, like $2,000 saved. I ended up getting a job at ATB and ended up working there until I was like, you know what? I'm tired of office work. I've done this was my entire career. I went to school for accounting, decided I wanted to do investments. I was like, I'm just tired of it. And I just quit and went to EMT school or paramedic school.
Holy crap.
And then I started working at the airport as a paramedic. And I should clarify, I'm a primary care paramedic. So
Okay.
There's different levels. And I guess, yeah, I've been doing that for the last 4 years. And then I get bored and I start doing something else. So, I got bored in, like, I like paramedicine, but I need something in my spare time to keep myself occupied. So I started lifting.
Yeah.
I was a long distance runner. That was something I carried on from Prince Edward Island. And then I just decided, I'm bored with this too. I tried rock climbing, like outdoor rock climbing, which I still love. I tried powerlifting. I didn't mind it, but the 3 lifts also I need more variety. Mm-hmm. So someone introduced strongman to me, and I was like, this is cool.
Yeah, totally.
Yeah, this is really cool. Like I get to practice overhead stuff. I get to practice triple extension. There's so many random events. You never know sometimes if you go to an event, sometimes they don't, announce what they're going to have at the show. So it's just varied and it's exciting and fun. And that's how I kind of got into it.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
What was life growing up like in Prince Edward Island?
Slow.
Yeah?
Yeah, it's a completely different pace.
Yeah.
From Alberta. And that was a learning curve for me. Because when I came out here, I didn't realize like how much of a country bumpkin I was. And I lived in like in town.
Yeah.
So I had no idea like, what life was like out here. It was a big transition.
Like, what did you do for fun as a kid?
Oh, God. What did I do for fun? I was in figure skating.
Yeah.
And then I was in judo for a few years.
Oh, nice.
So I primarily did judo.
Yeah.
I ended up getting hurt and then not being in judo anymore. So, but yeah, that's I tried to stay busy in activities.
Yeah. How long did you do figure skating for? Because everybody I know that does figure skating, it's like from the point that they're like 4 or something until they're 16 and then they just stop.
Well, yeah, it's kind of similar. I didn't do it for very, very long. I wasn't very good at it, so I didn't like it. But I started figure skating, I think it was in grade 3.
Yeah.
So I think I would have been 7.
Okay. Yeah.
Yeah, 7 or 8. And I think I did that until, I think right before grade 6. I was only in it for 2 seasons.
Okay.
2 or 3 seasons, so.
If you could say one lesson that you learned from your figure skating experience, what would it be?
I guess like that it's never too late to start, because when I was in figure skating, that was the first activity I'd pretty much ever done in my entire life. Up to that moment, I never really participated in sports or anything. But you start at different levels, and then you kind of practice amongst those levels. So I think I started on like level 2 because I was a little bit older, but I was still with kids that were, like you said, like 4 or 5 or like quite young, right? Yeah. And at first I was a little embarrassed, being, an older child and, having to look at the other children that are my age just killing it on the ice, right? But, I was persistent and I went into my first competition and I got 3rd. I got bronze, and that was the first medal I'd ever received in my life. So I was pretty proud of myself, regardless. And yeah, I guess that's a lesson that I learned. Like, it doesn't really matter. You can still make yourself proud. It doesn't matter what age you are or when you're going to start, but you can still just nail it. Depending.
And it's cool because I feel like you've been able to apply that to so many of the other things that you've tried. Oh. Like when did you start running?
What's that? When
did you start long distance running? Like what's your legacy story for that?
So I used to drink a lot and like party a lot when I was in my teens, and I just got tired of it too. Around whenever I was 20, I kind of stopped everything. I still drank a little bit, but I've never been like much of a drinker. It just doesn't interest me very much. But I had gained so much weight at the time. Like I wouldn't say overweight, but I was very fluffy. So I remember, and I mean, like, there's nothing wrong with being whatever weight. I just wasn't feeling very comfortable. I wasn't healthy. I was smoking actually at the time too. So
jeez.
Yeah.
What the hell?
Yeah. I had been smoking since I was like 16. It's sort of just what you do in PEI. You drink and you smoke and you do drugs. So, I was smoking, like I was not healthy. I remember looking in the mirror. I went to go clothes shopping with a friend of mine, with my best friend, who's still my best friend. And I remember trying this top on, and I could just see just everything. It just laid right out in front of me. And I wasn't happy. I wasn't happy with myself, and just like looking at myself in the mirror, I wasn't happy with my life. I had so many goals for myself that I'd never accomplished. And I was like, you know what? Screw this. Like, this is done. And the next day, I ran.
Yeah.
I started running. I couldn't run more than 30 seconds at a time. But I ran up and down the block. And I came back. And I'm like, cool. That's day 1. And then the next day I ran. And I just kept running. I was like Forrest Gump.
Yeah.
I was just, this is not how I'm going to choose to live my life anymore.
Yeah. And what were the first things that changed as you like built in these habits and changed your day to day? Like every day you're like, I'm gonna go out and run. That's what I do. I run. Like what changed?
Just oh my gosh, everything. It was like a life-changing experience. I still love running. I'm actually incorporating more running into my training now, just for my mental health, because that's how much I enjoy it. I don't. It like helped me practice, like mental fortitude. You know, to just like running is very hard. It's very hard and makes you want to quit right away. But it, you know, if you just keep like looking ahead and you're like, you know what? No, I'm going to make it to that lamppost. Okay, I made it to the lamppost. Like, I'm going to keep making it until I hit those dumpsters. Like, it makes you practice patience and you kind of run through the pain, I guess. So I guess, it just helps fortify your mind and you become stronger just in every aspect. Yeah. Right? And it carries forth into your regular life as well. So that taught me a lot. I was eating better. You know, I was pretty, like my stomach was all screwed up before from just not like taking care of myself, and all that had kind of changed. Just everything. It was wonderful.
So what inspired the move, like when you left PEI?
Well, so I had been living on my own for a bit, and both my parents kind of got sick or injured at the same time. My dad got really sick, and my mom had been she had gotten a knee replacement and then was in a car accident on top of that. So I was like, you know what, I'll move home. I'll help them out. I'll pay them rent. And then it's cheap rent for me as well. So I was living with them, and, you know, they gradually got better, and I continued to live with them. And I just was like, you know what, I think it was like 22. I was like, I'm 22. I'm living with my parents. They're pissing me off. Like, I'm pissing them off. A friend of mine had moved, and, you know, I was making really good money. I was making like $13 an hour. And I'd been in my industry at the time for like quite a while. So I was like, you know, I'm done. And I just bought a plane ticket and moved.
Holy shit.
Left my car. I left my family. I left everything. I moved.
What was that like? Like the first day you land on the plane, you're like, shit, what do I do? Like, what was that experience like?
I was crazy because I'd never been on a plane before. So,
of course you hadn't.
No, I'd never been outside the Maritimes. I like kind of traveled within the Maritimes. Even when I was a kid, we never went anywhere too poor.
Yeah, just like wherever you could run.
Yeah, right? Yeah, exactly. Like, so I'd never been on a plane before. And then going to Toronto, I'd never been to Toronto. Yeah. Going to the Toronto airport and trying to navigate that. It was, I still don't know how I made my next flight. Like, but I did, and yeah.
Did you look like a lost sheep? Like, it must have been such a culture shock.
Oh, I did. Yeah, I remember just like going up to the different like attendants at the different airports, and I'm like, can you please help me? Yeah. Can you please like tell me what's a gate and how do I get there?
What was the most embarrassing thing that happened in your airport journey between like here and like because you settled down in Red Deer, right?
I did, yeah.
Okay, so in that whole trip, what was the most embarrassing thing?
Oh God, I don't know about embarrassing. I don't remember embarrassing. I can tell you the most embarrassing thing, because that was 7 years ago. Yeah. It was 2012. I do remember the most embarrassing thing that's happened to me, like, in transitioning into...
Sure, that works.
Yeah. I remember I just moved. Actually, sorry, I moved, and then I ran, actually, my first half marathon there.
Nice.
Yeah, in Red Deer at the Woodies. Yeah. And there was like a medic at the end that I recognized from the gym, and he recognized me. So next time we were talking, next time I was at the gym, he ended up talking to me. And anyways, we ended up dating. And like, I'd still been so fresh to Alberta and just fresh to just life in a bigger city, you know, quotations, like not, Red Deer's not very big, but a lot bigger than anywhere in PEI. But anyway, so I get there and I'm dating him, and I'm at his house one day and we're making breakfast, and I remember he's like, hey, like, let's make fresh orange juice. I was like, absolutely, that sounds awesome. So he hands me some oranges, and he's like, yeah, the thing's just over in the corner there if you want to just, make some orange juice. So I'm like, okay, sweet. So I cut the oranges, and I start grinding the oranges on this thing, like the orange juice grinder, whatever you call it, the orange juice maker. And he looks over at me, and he's like, what are you doing? I was like, making orange juice? And he's like, yeah, do you want to plug it in, maybe? So it's this automated machine.
Yeah.
And I had no idea.
Yeah.
I'd never seen it before. Right?
That makes sense. I don't think I've ever used an orange juice machine in my life.
Yeah, it's the same thing, but you plug it in, it rotates. But growing up, I've never had anything like that. And I mean that's just something so simple that it just kind of makes you think the lifestyle difference, right? I couldn't have afforded anything like that when I was in PEI.
Totally.
I wouldn't have even known about it, right? It's too bougie. So, it was just stuff like that, and I started to realize how sheltered I'd been just from a lifestyle difference.
Did you guys have a microwave?
Yeah, we had a microwave.
Okay, good. I had to check. I had to ask.
A lot of kitchen appliances, different ones, but yeah, it was just a lifestyle change. I was making, I was making $13 an hour versus $26 an hour when I was at ATB. So
totally.
Yeah.
What kind of a kid were you in school, in elementary and in junior high kind of thing? Were you a jock? Were you a nerd? Were you?
Oh, I was kind of nerdy, a little bit.
What was your favorite subject? What was the thing that you were the smartest at?
Probably math.
Okay.
Yeah, just anything that's a logical, rational thing that I can work my way.
Has a
around.
finite answer.
Yeah.
Because social studies and I know I took a philosophy class at Grant MacEwan, and I was just what do you mean you answer this stuff? It's just people's perceptions of things.
They change. The answer changes, right? Depending. Yeah. And I could normally, when I was in school, I was good at English and stuff because I could kind of bullshit my way through some stuff. But the stuff that I enjoyed, I really enjoyed physics.
Yeah.
Pre-calculus, different things like that.
So what inspired you to get into your first career? Because it was money, finance based kind of stuff.
Completely different, yeah. I just wanted to be somebody. This sounds kind of silly, but I wanted to be somebody that was important in society, that had a professional career.
Yep.
I wanted to be a chartered accountant. So the way the program I went into worked was you do 2 years, you get your accounting technician at Holland College, then you go to university for 2 years, and then you go do a designation kind of post grad thing to become a chartered accountant. So that was my path, and then I kind of realized I didn't like accounting.
Yeah.
I didn't like it at all. So I still wanted to be in finance because I like the idea of getting up every day and wearing nice clothes and working with numbers. I love numbers. I still love numbers. I remember numbers before I remember people. So yeah, I ended up just transitioning over. I wrote my Canadian Mutual Funds course, and then I ended up writing my Canadian Securities course. I wrote my IFIC, which is a insurance one. I kept getting all these small little courses. I ended up working, like I said, at ATB here in Red Deer.
Yep.
More specifically, Stettler. I traveled to Stettler every day. And yeah, I didn't not enjoy my job. I knew there was something else for me and something else I could be doing. So.
And that's so many people that I know. That's most of the people who have any involvement in fitness at all.
Yeah.
A great deal of them, not all of them, but a great deal of them completely changed their career.
Wow.
What was the toughest obstacle that you had in getting your schooling? Because how much years of schooling did you have to do to get your accounting and all that stuff?
So it's a 2-year program.
Okay.
I decided kind of midway through that I didn't like it. Okay. Which was good because I didn't waste their time. I didn't waste my time. But the other schooling, so like the Canadian Securities course, it's all at home. So,
Oh, okay.
you take the course, you still write in like a professional building, but you do everything to your own leisure, I guess.
Yeah.
So it's about a 6-month course.
Yeah.
I want to say full time because it's in two sections. There's like part 1, part 2, and they're both very hard. I will give it that. Mm-hmm. It's a very, very hard course to take. I had to try it like multiple times before I actually ended up rating, even because just even the course content is so confusing, I guess, and it's abstract, right? Because you can't really see it. It's numbers. You have to just figure it out, and you have to understand it, right?
Yeah.
You have to understand the investment industry. You don't get to see it, if that makes sense.
Yeah. No, that totally makes sense.
Unless you're looking at like a ticker or something, you know what I mean? But so that's a little difficult for people probably that are visual learners. I just kind of powered through it.
Yeah.
I was just like, this is gonna in the end be better for you. So.
With it being like self-directed, like basically if somebody didn't tell you to work on it, you wouldn't work on it. Or like you didn't go to a class to do the thing.
Yeah.
So you had to say, hey, I have to work on this, right?
Yeah.
What was your biggest struggle with that? Because I know like there's tons of continuing education that people sign up for. And it's like, I don't really feel like it.
You know what? I have ADHD. I was diagnosed as an adult. And I was very distracted while I was studying. So I would study for hours and hours and hours and maybe only have real study time for like 1 or 2 hours.
Yeah.
Of actually like reading, comprehending, and, going forth in the book. But, I would constantly I would have my book open and I would be okay with the distractions. I would just kind of rein it in. Okay. So, I'd be on my bed, I'd have the book open, I'd be reading, and then if I felt like I was getting distracted, no problem, just go on Facebook, get it out, and then go back.
Yeah.
Because if you force yourself, you're not going to want to do it, right?
Yeah.
So, it took me like probably longer for the first half of the course than it should have. But that's what I needed.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Totally.
At-home learning is very hard.
Yeah.
Very, very difficult.
So knowing that stuff about yourself, is there tools or skills that you've built for if you had to do another certification or something and like force yourself to focus kind of thing?
Yeah, so just the same thing. It's worked for me actually in everything that I've taken because most of the courses when you go into investment work, most of them are all self-directed.
Yeah.
That's just how they, I guess, offer all most of the small short courses. So I'm actually going to advanced care paramedic school in September.
Yep.
And that's going to be a mixture of at home, like online, and labs where I have to be in school. So it's going to be pretty much the same thing starting in September. So that's going to be a challenge, but I'm again, like it's worked for me. So just, maybe set a time. This helps other people. I don't do this. But it's the same idea. Like I can usually rein it in pretty good. Other people will set a timer and it's the same thing. So set a timer for a certain amount of time of study time. Set a timer, allow themselves whatever that timer time is to like embrace their distraction. Go on Facebook, watch like a little bit of TV, timer goes off, go back to studying, and so on and so forth. So that's a trick that some people do. I just kind of freeball it.
Yeah. Well, I mean, if you have that self-awareness to rein it in, that's awesome. That's great. Because like it's a skill that you'll need. It's just like being able to lift things. Like you can't lift things if you don't know how to lift things. You can't focus if you don't know how to focus.
Exactly. It's all stuff that you kind of learn, right? Over time. I'm 29. I turned 30 this year. So it's not just, like I'm learning how to study for the first time. Again, this is my second career and I've tried other things too. Like I learned, I took my personal trainer course. That was self-directed as well. Took my ACE Fitness.
Yep.
And I just kind of like learn what works for you.
Totally.
I forced myself to do them because I wanted the end result, not knowing how the process was going to go. Mm-hmm. And I just kind of worked something out for myself.
Yeah. What would you say are the major differences between primary care and the other one was emergency care that you're getting, or
Advanced care.
advanced care? Sorry.
Oh yeah, no problem. A lot of people don't know the difference, right? There's a big difference. So advanced care paramedics, they can actually provide narcotics. They have like not just narcotics, but like a wider range of other drugs. A lot of life-saving drugs that we can't administer. As well as they can do like more invasive procedures. So they can actually like do some surgical procedures as well. They can intubate people. They can crike people on the road. They can, just a bunch of different things, right? They can use an IO, an intraosseous, which is basically like a bone drill. If you can't get an IV, you need to be able to get fluid and medication into somebody somehow, right? So they can actually drill into the bone and, like insert like a catheter and put meds in that way. So they can do a whole lot.
That's wild. What was your biggest motivator to kind of take that step up? Is it just the goal drive in you that just wants to keep going?
Absolutely. Like there is that. And a lot of the advanced care paramedics that I've worked with, I really admire.
Yep.
Obviously some that you work with, like not so much, or that, that you look at them and you're like, if they can do it, I can do it.
Yeah, like everything that we do, every field of work is going to have like that full spectrum.
Exactly.
And if you surround yourself with like the highest performers, then you're going to find yourself becoming closer to them. Exactly.
And that's my thing too, is like I've always wanted to be a small fish in a big pond. Is that how it goes? Instead of like the big fish in a small pond.
Totally.
Because I learn from people that are better than me.
Yeah.
That's why I changed gyms when I moved here. I was at Terwilliger. It was very strong, and I moved to Evolve, and I was like, whoa, I am not strong. And I'm still not strong, comparatively. But it's just the same thing. So working with people that I really respect, that have just done so much in their careers, I want to be that person. They inspire me, and I want to be able to control a scene. I want to be able to take the lead on something, and I want to administer some of the cool stuff that they do. Like it's just a dream for me. Like it just seems so exciting and noble, and not that being a primary care paramedic isn't. You do have like a lot of things in your belt that you can save a life with, and lots of like excellent like airway adjuncts that you can use as well. But ACP is just so much cooler. So
out of all like the ACP professionals that like think of a few of them and think about what you really look up to about them. Think of like 5 qualities that stand out about them.
Interesting question. I've got a few people in mind that I really admire. This is probably like an overused one, but this is like what stands out to me about these individuals is professionalism. We're pretty self-regulated in our career. Like they're supervisors on the road, but it's just the two of you in an ambulance, right? So you can kind of have whatever style you want. Some people are more lax. Some people are pretty run a pretty tight ship, right? So, but again, like you can kind of act however you want. Like you can be like a sailor mouth, and you can, it's just like I said, it's just the two of you. So, but the people that I admire are always professional, right? They're always professional towards the patient, towards their partner, towards the general public. I really admire that, because that means that they take their job seriously. They have, what would you say, like they just take pride in their job and what they're doing.
Totally.
Which I really respect.
Yeah.
There are also people that are very logical. Again, so every time you go to a patient, you have to figure out what's wrong with them, especially if they can't communicate to you. So you have to be able to do an assessment, and then from your assessment findings, you have to kind of pick a bunch of different differential diagnoses. So we don't diagnose patients, but what we do is we kind of come up with like a little short list of what this could possibly be given the signs and symptoms this patient is experiencing. And then you treat them effectively depending on that. So the people that I admire are very good at finding the problem, like identifying it and then treating it. And some people don't. Some people miss the mark and treat completely differently, follow a different protocol. And sometimes it's detrimental to the patient, sometimes it's not. But the ones are just very logical and they're able to work through those problems and they're very thorough. So I really respect that. I guess just generally like taking pride in themselves and their profession. Like they show up to work every day, their boots are shined, their uniform looks good. They've got all the stuff that they need on their belts. Some people are very bare bones. Like I'm pretty bare bones, I admit. I don't like having a lot of stuff on my belt because I hurt my back, so it kind of pushes my back out when I sit in chairs. But they're prepared. They're prepared for their job. They start every day, like they're early for work. They do all the courses. Just general preparedness and just taking pride in what they do.
Well, it's a good example to have around you. It's the same thing as like being the smallest fish in the tank kind of thing.
Yeah.
You want people that are setting this example and have like great integrity to be around you.
Integrity, that's a good one. Yeah.
And then it's going to rub off on you. Like what I've found is by being around people who are very good at their craft within like, because I'm a personal trainer and I just moved my business to Evolve South actually.
Oh, did you?
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
And
cool.
Andrew Coates recruited me. So,
nice.
Yeah.
He's awesome. Yeah.
And like being around trainers like that, I have to give Andrew a shout out because he just got his article released in T Nation. So that's pretty damn exciting. Yeah.
I didn't know that.
Big stuff.
Wow, T Nation.
Yeah.
That is big stuff actually.
And Mountain Michael Dietrich just moved to Evolve South as well.
Right.
So
okay. Yeah.
just like people who have been in the industry for years. Mm-hmm. And I find that even if I'm just like half-assing it that day, which I don't ever strive to half-ass it, but everybody has their bad days.
Of course they do. I do too.
Like these people who know their facts and want to like push the limit kind of thing, like they're going to influence me in some way by just being around them. So for you wanting to be around like advanced care paramedics that are pushing the bar, like they want to strive for more, they're showing up, their boots are shined, like you're going to be better for it. Exactly. Which is awesome.
Yeah, it's inspiring. I kind of feed off the energy of other people sometimes.
Yeah.
And if I'm working with a partner that's more lax, that they got their boots undone and they're it feeds into my day, and it doesn't mean I don't enjoy working with them and that they're bad people. It's just not what I prefer.
Yeah. Well, I mean, everybody in the world has an influence on the people around them.
Yeah.
Like how I show up into my day and how you show up into your day is going to affect all the people that you come across.
Exactly.
Whether it's like the grocery store, the gym,
absolutely,
like holding the door open for people.
Right.
And so, of course, like for being around better people that are pushing the limit, high performers, you're going to benefit from it.
Absolutely. Yeah. And another big one for me is how they react to calls that maybe shouldn't have been called in. Like calls that probably didn't require 911 call. Yeah. We get a lot of that. It's just like general education with the public, not sure why they should be calling, I guess. Lack of education, but some people are like, oh, this is bullshit. Like, this is awful. I don't like this. And I've been guilty of that too. But the people that I respect, they're like, you know what? I have a 12-hour shift. So if I have to show up and it's, something that I don't deem as appropriate, whatever. If they want to go, they can go. Who am I to judge, right? This is still their emergency. Mm-hmm. But this person is scared and, I still got to do what I can. So that type of attitude is so helpful for me.
Yeah. Yeah. Just like a positive outlook kind of thing.
Yeah, exactly. And it doesn't even have to be positive. It just doesn't have to be negative.
Totally.
Yeah.
Have you ever worried that like a call like that might take away staff from a more urgent call, or would that ever be a concern?
Yeah. And that happens, right? Yeah. It definitely does. But usually there's still somebody else. They just might have to come from further away.
Okay.
Right. So depending on how the city's looking and trucks that are staffed in the city at any current moment, they will pull trucks from suburban rural to come into town if needed. That's on a rough day. Maybe
Totally.
a day when it snowed and like there's lots of accidents in the city. It just gets overwhelming, right? So like there's a lot of MVC or a lot of vehicle collisions on days that it's icy.
Yeah.
And I mean, there was one a couple weeks ago. There was like 200 accidents. That's what the police kind of stated on the news. And we go to those too. And even if it's just quickly just to assess and be like, oh, we can still take you to the hospital. We don't see anything immediately concerning to us. Even just to do that, and if they're like, no, I don't want to go, it still takes up time, right?
Yeah.
So it just takes up resources.
And it's just all kind of part of procedure, because I've never seen like an accident that didn't have all of the emergency services. Like you get the firefighter, you get the cops, you get the EMS.
Yeah, you want to make sure that everyone's okay, and even if they cancel on you, you still have to do your due diligence to make sure that people aren't going to start walking and then
Absolutely.
knock something out of place and fall down. So yeah, it is part of the procedure.
So whenever I see like emergency services personnel, doctors, nurses, all those things, like they're dealing with like heavy days sometimes.
Mm-hmm.
Do you find that you have to like kind of balance out your mental health in some way? Do you have like a thing that you implement into your week?
Yes. So this has been something I've been dealing with for the last couple of weeks. I just like a slight decline in my mental health. I've noticed I've been a little bit more irritable. I've been kind of carrying that with me. I kind of go through phases where, I'll do that. I'll be more irritable towards people, and it usually is like after work. I'll be like snappy, and it's not because I'm reacting to that person. I'm just reacting to my day.
Yeah.
And I've been trying to like track my emotions and trying to be like, okay, so I feel this way, and it was probably because of this. I had a very frustrating day, and yeah, I've been journaling a lot, I guess.
Yeah.
I've been journaling to kind of process my emotions throughout the day, so I can recognize them and be like, you know what? Normally, this situation would be very frustrating, and I would carry it forth, and you don't even realize you're doing it. You really don't. But that's why you track it, right? And then also what I've been doing is at the end of the day, taking 3 things that I think that went well in the day.
Yeah.
That I'm grateful for. So, and that's been very helpful. It's been changing my mindset a little bit from like negative self-talk and negativity to more positive.
I agree.
More positive self-talk, yeah. And even just on the road, like the way that I got my frustration out before was that I had a little bit of road rage. And I found lately I've been getting way less frustrated at drivers. And that's a big thing for me. So I know that my mental health is actually like I'm doing really good towards, bettering myself in that way. So
well, it's important to like own our health in all aspects, because so many people are like, oh, mental health, like I don't have that. They kind of shove that away, like that just goes in the closet and never gets dealt with.
Yeah,
gets bottled up. And it's just like, if it's kind of like how you're rehabbing your back injury right now.
Yeah,
like just imagine if you shove that into the closet and you're like, I'm just not going to talk about my back injury.
Yeah,
and like 10 years from now you might be sitting in a chair just permanently. And not to say that's what would happen. It's just like that's how we need to see mental health.
Absolutely.
As something that we just take it, we put it on the table, we figure out what it is, we get help if we need. I think journaling is a great idea, because I don't remember what the source was, but I heard somewhere, I think it was a podcast, that like writing out your thoughts, whether it be what you want for the future or what has happened to you in the past, has like a scientifically backed way of helping you sort of process things and think about them and absorb them and like leave them, like have closure. And
Absolutely.
so many people don't honestly do that. They're like, I'm too confident to worry about writing shit down on paper, or
don't need to.
Yeah,
I'll
like
figure it out. Yeah.
like for yourself, I'm almost proud, I would say, because you've done all these different careers and you still have that self-awareness to write shit in a journal.
Thanks.
Like you have credentials, you have things that you've done, you have life experience, but you still know that you need to write stuff down.
Oh, thank you. I appreciate that. Because I mean, I can't always, like, my head's always pulled in so many different directions. And like I said, I have ADHD as well. Sometimes I just have a hard time internally. I do so many different things throughout the day, and I don't actually know how these different things are making me feel. We're very busy when we work in the city. We might clear up from a hospital, we might get to a station, spend 30 seconds at that station, get called out again.
Yeah.
Or we might, clear up from a call and just get tagged on another one right away. So we are quite busy, and it is hard to sit down and be like, how did that make me feel? And I mean, in your downtime, do you want to process your emotions, or do you want to just eat and go to the washroom?
Yeah, totally.
So it's, at the end of the day, I need to, because I was getting, I guess, like I said, irritable and snappy, and it wasn't fair to the other people that I was interacting with. It's not fair, to the cashier at the grocery store for me to get snappy, even though, maybe I wasn't pleased with the service or whatever. It's not fair.
No.
So I need to do my best. I'm a public service worker, essentially, right? And I need to be that all the time. I need to do that in my off time as well. And in order for me to do that, I need a healthy mental health.
Yeah.
Yeah, healthy brain.
Yeah,
so
totally.
Yeah. Do
you find that, because in the situations that you come across, there can be some tough catastrophic events that you're one of the first people called to the scene. How do you get closure from that if it's a heavy day? I can only imagine you've probably had to deal with maybe some deaths or something, and it's not I'm trying to make it dark. It's just there's gonna be other people that listen to this, firefighters, EMS, nurses, doctors, all this stuff. What is your best way to kind of move on or whatever it is?
We get we do see death a lot. Be it we roll up on scene and CPR is in progress and that person is essentially dead or in cardiac arrest. Or we see people that are on their way out and they're in palliative and that's quite sad too. Or, we go on scene and they're already dead, and they're beyond resuscitation. So, I guess the important thing that I do is I disassociate, I basically, I sympathize, but I can't empathize.
Yeah.
I can't.
Yeah.
Once you start empathizing with every single call that is dark or sad or tragic, you're going to end up losing your emotions. You're going to end up losing yourself in those calls, right? It's going to affect you a lot deeper than if you were able to just disassociate from it, right? Which is probably, I don't want to... It might sound kind of dark to other people that aren't involved in emergency services, but it's what you have to do. You have to protect yourself. Mm-hmm. So that's a big one for me. We don't always get closure. Sometimes we're still at the hospital doing our paperwork and we're able to kind of check in, especially if CPR is in progress. If we're there for the next 20 minutes, half hour, we're able to see, okay, was this person resuscitated or not? So you can kind of get closure that way. But for other things, sometimes you don't, and you just have to be okay with the fact that you don't know what's going to happen to this person.
Yeah.
It's kind of something that you just have to compartmentalize and just let go.
Yeah.
So, there's definitely been patients that have gotten to me. I had one patient that was palliative cancer patient, and I'll always remember her. She was the one call that made me cry ever. And she hugged me before I left. I brought her back. She had just gone to her the cross cancer to get chemotherapy, but they basically said no more chemotherapy. It's actually going to make you worse, and you're beyond your cancer spread. Get your affairs in order. So I listened to all that, and then I took her back to the hospital that she was at, because she was just being transferred. I was on a transfer car that day. Or sometimes when the city is slow, we do transfers as well. Excuse me. But I took her back, and she was okay with it. And that got to me. I was like, why are you okay with this? You know, your life is ending. Like, how are you? Like, I just couldn't process that. And her family was there, and they were okay with it too. Everyone had let it go but me. And I'm not even involved in this woman's life. So at the end, I was cleaning up, and I'd given my report back to the nurse, and the patient gave me a big hug, and she was like, I hope you have a good rest of your life. And I was like, Kate! And I couldn't hold it in. And I ran out, I cried for the next hour. Yeah. And it was just, yeah. And so, and I don't know what happened to her. I don't know if she passed away a week after that, 2 weeks, month, I have no idea. Then you just have to just deal with it. You just have to be okay. And you have to just, if you had a pleasant experience with that person, you just need to know that you made, even if even just transporting that patient for, a couple of hours, you need to know that you made you gave them a positive experience in the last hours that they have. So.
And you have to think about it as, in a way, she could have talked to anybody. She could have had any dialogue ever. Mm-hmm. And she kind of gave you a gift if you look at it that way.
Absolutely. Yeah.
How much have you traveled so far in your life? What's the furthest away you've gone?
I went to Thailand.
And how was that experience? What was your favorite thing about Thailand?
Oh, gosh. I went to Thailand, Cambodia, and Laos. And my favorite thing was, I guess, outdoor rock climbing. Yeah. Did a lot of that out there, so.
What was the scariest thing?
The scariest thing was that was the first time I traveled outside of Canada. So.
That would be another culture shock.
That was pretty scary.
Every time you step on a plane, it's what is this?
Yeah, everything. I was like, this is a brand new, environment. I don't know what that thing is over there,
Did you travel with a group? Was it by yourself? Was it one of those pre-structured trips?
Yeah, it was a pre-structured trip. So I went with Free and Easy.
Yeah.
It was a 25-day trip. And I knew 2 people that were also on the trip with me. So, it was, it was good. It was interesting. It taught me a lot of things about group travel, and taught me a lot about patience, and taught me a lot about poverty.
Yeah.
Poverty in other nations.
Yeah, because we all think it's fun and games to go to some country where it's cheap to go to that country, but then when we actually look around, maybe look past our tour guide, then it's oh, well, their standard of living is much different than ours.
Absolutely. And I always thought that I had grown up relatively impoverished. Not my family, I would say for PEI was middle class, but then when you look at the rest of Canada, our middle class is not the same as the rest of Canada's middle class. So I always thought that I was relatively impoverished. And then going somewhere like Cambodia, I was I lived like a queen, and it was pretty eye-opening. I still think that it's better for us to help people in our own backyard. There's a lot of people that go on mission trips and everything, and that's a beautiful thing. But there's still people that are suffering in Canada that need our help, right? So, but it was eye-opening to other cultures, and it was what can we do?
Yeah.
So, it was pretty sad. In Cambodia, anyways.
Yeah.
Cambodia was the worst one, I'd say. Because of the Khmer Rouge and the genocide and everything, they're still recovering from all that stuff. So.
Yeah, well, I've had a few friends that traveled there, and they just had this moment where it just kind of sunk, and it's wow, I look at my life I am the victim, and then I see this, and it's no, we just kind of need to realize what we have and not take things for granted so much. Absolutely, yeah. And then you think about with your career path, you've always had a passion to find your truth. That's what I would say. It doesn't matter if you have to change it over and over. It's just you're just going to find the thing that's the best fit for you in that moment. So when you think about your interaction with that patient that you lost, she told you that she hopes that you live your life well.
Yeah.
And you can carry that sentiment on for years. And if you have like a shit day, you have to be like, no, I have one job, and that is to live my life well.
Because of those women that couldn't. Yeah, exactly.
Exactly. It's such a gift. And like, I mean, I hate being like positivity Pete over here, but like
you need it, right?
Yeah,
you need
like,
it.
people need perspective.
Yeah.
And especially in like the emergency services industry. Like there's firefighters that cannot deal with the PTSD. There's people who have to have tons of support that were in the army, they're veterans, just all these people that it could be just the way that they're too empathetic, and it just like wrecked them. Like I think about the industry of serving people that it's out of your control, they might die, something bad might happen. I'm like, I couldn't handle it. It would destroy me.
Yeah.
Because like I am wired to be like full on empath. Like this podcast is to help people.
Yeah.
And so if something was that far out of my control and I had to show up and just watch somebody pass away, it would wreck me.
Yeah.
And so every time I come across somebody that can do it, that has that mental strength to journal at the end of the day, to do whatever it takes, I'm like, hell yeah. So that's a big part of why you're on this podcast, because you exemplify like physical strength. You create an example for people who are just getting started in the gym, that are like, like the idea of like being strong and female it's not possible. I'm like, it's possible. It's freaking super possible. Like, I think on your Instagram, there's a picture of you just lifting up a dude. And I'm like, that's the perfect personification of like girls being strong. Like,
oh, that's funny. Yeah.
Because people think like strong woman, and they're thinking like, it's just like a 6'8", just giant lady. But like, you've got a smaller frame, but you're strong. You make the most of what you have, which is what we should all do with our life, mentally and physically. Just make the most of what we have.
Absolutely. I totally agree with you. Yeah.
So I got some quick questions.
Sure. Yeah, absolutely.
Pizza or lasagna?
Ooh, oh my God. I didn't realize you're going to bring the tough questions out at the end. I'm going to have to go with pizza.
Okay, what's your favorite kind of pizza?
People are going to hate me, but like Hawaiian.
I support that. Like,
okay.
I think pineapple is okay on pizza. Like,
thank you.
You gotta have variety in life.
Yep.
What's your stance on donair pizza?
No.
What the hell?
Wow, I know. And I'm from the East Coast, right?
You'd think you'd like donair pizza.
No.
Is it because you're from the East Coast that you don't like it?
I just don't like donair meat. I don't know what it is.
That's fair.
It's very what is it? You know, what animal does it come from, and where in that animal does it come from? It's just, I can't do it.
It's like the hangover bologna. Like you don't know, and you just would rather not know, and you just like the sauce, and it's all good.
Exactly. Like pineapple is refreshing. It's a treat. You know, I feel like I'm on a tropical island eating pizza, and then you've got this other stuff where I'm like, am I in a pig pen? Like, what is this?
I don't think I've ever been to a tropical island that gave me Hawaiian pizza, though. Like,
just takes you away.
Oh, it does. It takes you on a journey.
I'm totally joking.
Okay, next question. Ice cream or cookies?
Ice cream, hands down, yeah.
Nice.
Always.
I actually had Dean Somerset on the podcast just before you.
Oh, wow.
And I think he said cookie dough ice cream. So he changed the game right there, put the two together.
That's innovative.
Very. Well, he's a smart man.
He's a very smart guy.
The smartest in the craft.
That proves it.
Yeah, evidence right there. Next question. Do you think dogs are able to provide a PR for a person? Like, if somebody is in a gym full of dogs, do you think they're going to hit a PR? Like, no questions asked?
You have to impress the dog.
Oh, yes.
You have to impress the dog, yeah.
I never even thought about it that way. I've been like, that dog likes me. I feel good and happy now. Central nervous system is all good. Here's our PR. But no, you totally have to impress the dog.
Yeah, I mean, you're there. It's watching you. Provide a good example for the dog.
Absolutely. Next question. I probably know the answer. Dogs or cats?
Oh,
no.
Oh, no. I know. I grew up with cats, and I love them very much.
What's your favorite thing about cats?
They're just so funny. They take themselves so seriously, but they end up being so goofy
Yeah.
that it's hilarious to me. Yeah.
I've seen more cats fall off of things than I've seen dogs fall off of things.
Exactly. Yeah. You know, dogs embrace themselves. Like dogs are, they're like, yeah, I'm here to party and I love it. And cats are just like, meh. And then they might, you know, go under the tap and like try and like drink the water. And you're like, what are you doing? You know?
That's awesome.
Yeah.
As long as you're able to rationalize it, I can accept
I
it.
can rationalize everything.
Yeah, totally. So that's going to bring us to our last question. This is something I ask all of my guests. If you could give one piece of advice to somebody on how to live their most authentic life to the fullest, what would that piece of advice be?
Oh, gosh. I guess that piece of advice would be to embrace change. You know, don't be afraid to be strong. Don't be afraid to go after the thing that you want to go after. Don't be afraid of your goals. That's a big thing. A lot of people are afraid of success because they're afraid of what it takes to get there. But you shouldn't. You have one life and it's ending 1 minute at a time. A quote from Fight Club. That's how I live my life. One day you're going to look back and you're going to be like, well, I didn't do anything that I wanted to do. And here's the end. So don't be afraid. Just jump in feet first and figure it out.
Yeah, that's awesome.
Yeah.
And you literally did it. So
Yeah.
Great chat today. Thank you for joining me.
Thank you.
All right.